I don't want to call it the greatest moment in sports history, but it was. I think it was. Linval Joseph returning a touchdown, 63 yards, putting on the sunglasses, getting the oxygen mask. How much joy does it bring you, Alex Boone, when you see an offensive or defensive lineman score a touchdown?
Never joy with the defensive lineman. But
okay, fair enough.
Clearly not either with the offensive. I mean, if we're touching the ball, there's something wrong. Something went wrong. My wife would always say that to me. Don't you want to score once? I was never. I never want to touch.
What if it was a fumble and you picked it up?
Never. I never want to have to fall on it. I want you to do that for me. Okay, we'll go celebrate together after.
All right, fine. I was watching an old game once between the Jets and Dolphins, I think, and Jumbo Elliott caught a touchdown. Remember Jumbo Elliott? Big, massive offensive lineman from. Oh no, I know why you wouldn't like Jumbo Elliott because he's from Michigan. But
maybe that's why I don't know.
Yeah, he was a great offensive lineman, and they threw him a touchdown in like a big situation. It was great. Anyway, all right, fine. You're a buzzkill. Let's talk about making the case for the Eagles, making the case for the Vikings at the quarterback position. I think it's a pretty big mismatch here with Carson Wentz just being at this point in his career significantly better than Kirk Cousins. And if you're talking about which player can handle a pass rush, a great defensive line going up against him, it's just not even close here because Carson Wentz is a great athlete with all sorts of weapons.
You know what it is, dude? He's tough. Like, he's a tough quarterback. Like, you're watching this last week's game, and I remember, like, a guy came in, and he just, like, stared at this dude and, like, ducked at the last second. The guy falls over, and he just throws this pass downfield. He's a tough quarterback. And you're looking at it, you're like, man, that guy is grizzled. Like, I would love to block for a guy like that, a guy that could take a few hits. I mean, I played with a few guys that could take some hits. Now, I think Carson's taken his fair share, but I mean, he looks really good in that offense. Like he looks like he's the quarterback that you would want to run that RPO style offense. Like, he's quick with the ball. It comes out of his hands fast. He makes his decisions fast. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to use his offensive line. And I remember earlier in the summer, I was having a conversation with a guy, and I can't remember who it was, but we were talking about what we thought would be best for Carson Wentz. And he thought that staying in the pocket would be good for Carson. And I thought that keeping him on the move would be good because I thought, you know what, I still wasn't sold on his offensive line. I thought that left guard position was still a little bit like, I don't know. And Jason Peters getting older, but him in that pocket, man, he is comfortable there and he looks really good. So I might have been wrong when I said keeping him on the move is the way to go.
I think he could do everything. He can stay in the pocket. The touchdown he threw against the Packers was great, where it was just like take a step, fire a bullet, right? Perfect accuracy for a touchdown. And he's got the tight ends who are open all the time. He's got people who can go downfield. Alshon Jeffrey, a great player down the field, and then a running game that has a threat too now. And so I think he's got a lot around him that helps. But where I really like his game is, let's say it's 3rd and 9 or something, and then Everson Griffin pins the ears back, beats his man. That's not an automatic sack. That's not an automatic punt. It's this guy could make a great play. He can dodge a tackle. He can break a tackle. He's humongous, like 6'6", but he's also a great athlete. And then he can make a throw on the run. So he just has this ability to make a special play that I think all the great quarterbacks in the NFL can do to just keep the sticks moving, or even just not make a big mistake that's going to put you in 3rd and 20 or something else like that. That he has kind of that special ability to bail you out even when other things go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, his ability, his strength to me as a quarterback, and his arm strength, his ability to run the ball, to take a hit, to deliver a hit, everything about him. He's just a tough quarterback. I don't know. When you watch him, and maybe this is just me thinking like way before my prime, but does he remind you of maybe like a young John Elway? Like just the way he kind of, when he does run around with that ball and he can throw it with such like strength. And I mean, there are very few quarterbacks, I think, that when they're on the move have good accuracy. I think Kirk Cousins is one of the best. Like, he's one of those guys that I feel like should always be on the move to keep him.
That's why they love the bootlegs with him.
Right. And that's why I said, keep doing it. Do more. Do everything you can, because that's what he likes. But for me, when you're watching like a Carson Wentz, when you watch him throw those balls on the run, like, he makes it look so easy. And you're like, dude, that's such a hard throw to make.
Yeah. And the Elway thing, just a guy that is huge and a great athlete with a big arm that doesn't have to have like a solid platform to throw the ball with and can kind of change his arm angles if he needs to. There's a lot of really great things that Carson Wentz can do. And I think the difference between whether he goes on to be a consistent Pro Bowler or not, I don't know about, Hall of Fame, we'll see, but is just whether he stays healthy for his career, because so far he hasn't been able to do that, in part because he is often escaping the pocket. Like, he'll lower his head and dive for a first down or something like that. But it makes him, but if you're on his team, right, you're like, It's not great that he gets hurt, but it's great that he's got that level of toughness and that ability to make plays. And I think against this Vikings defense, the quarterbacks who have beaten them in the past, a lot of times that's what it takes. Is it's very difficult to pick them apart. And I was noticing something. I want your take on this, Alex, because part of I guess if you're making the case for the Vikings, we could turn over to that direction, is they lead the NFL best in terms of yards per completion against. So they're not giving up throws down the field very often. Right. And that is one of the things that makes Philly great, is they could throw down the field to their tight ends. They could throw down the field to their receivers if they want to. When they beat the Vikings in the NFC Championship, there's big plays that they hit on. And this defense just does not give those up. So why is that Zimmer's defense just does not give up big plays, it seems?
Discipline. And not only that, but how many guys are standing back there for 5 seconds without getting their head taken off?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's so many factors that go into that, right? Like, if you do have 5 seconds back there, the discipline on that defense is so incredible. Now, I think there are some mismatches, especially this week. Like when you're talking about like an Anthony Barr and coverage, I mean, this is the team where their running backs are like, hey, listen, if you can't catch, you can't play here. I'm sorry. That's just the way we roll.
Yeah.
So, but when you're talking about the big plays, you're not going to beat Harry down the field. You're not going to see those guys like, oh, man, I totally blew my coverage like that. Those are the safeties for a reason. And in a Zimmer defense, you are not allowed to mess up because he hates the big plays, as all D coordinators would. Like, dude, just keep them in front of you. It was that easy, guys. You just couldn't do that one thing. Like, it's incredible sometimes how you see guys run right through a cover 2 defense. You're like, wow, he split that. Like, nobody saw him running there. Okay, cool. That never happens on a Zimmer defense.
I think it's an interesting stat that Carson Wentz is 6th best in the league in terms of snap to release, in terms of his getting rid of the ball quickly. Yeah, and that is an advantage for the Eagles. I mean, we saw Chase Daniels do it, where he was able to hold on to the ball for a long time with their offense, killing a lot of clock, just taking the snap, getting rid of it quick into his playmaker's hands. I think that's what Philly's probably going to try and do here.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Every game you have your shots, and your coach will always let you know before the game. Listen, this is when we're going to take our shot, right? Like we're gonna wear on them. We're gonna hand it off to Jordan Howard, then we're gonna throw it to him, and then we're gonna get Goddard down the seam, and then we're gonna run it over here, and then all of a sudden, hey, listen, that's when we're gonna take our shot, and we got to be calculating because this D line is good. These linebackers are not going to sniff on anything that they don't truly believe in, so the play action really has to be hitting, and that's. You know what? That's the one thing that, as an offensive lineman, and I'm just glad I get to say this now because I used to hate this. If you want to sell the play action, you have to really sell the run. And sometimes that's you being asked to like sell a zone by yourself, right? So you're like, hey, listen, the big block's going to be here on the guard who's going to have to block this Aaron Donald by himself. No big deal. The ball's going to be out quick. But you're looking, and sometimes, because I give these O-lines a lot of slack, right? Like I cut into them hard. But there are some positions at times where I'm like, man, I would not want to be that guy. Like Fletcher Cox, when you got to get him by yourself, like, hey, we really need to sell the run. So there is no pass block. You are full into him and don't let go, okay? You're like, what? Don't let go? They said the ball was going to be out. Well, if it's not, it will be. It should be, right? Oh, God, I hope so. I mean, you just never felt comfortable with that stuff. But, when you talk about it, those are the tough plays, man. You got to make them. And you're looking at this team, and I don't see – the Eagles coming in here and they don't have Deshaun Jackson. They're not going to be taking the top off the safeties. That everything's going to have to be in